Yo, what is going on, people? It's your boy Mike Diesel. Today we are doing a second part to the DJI Osmo Action 4 camera test. But it's gonna get a little more interesting because we're gonna be testing it out against the GoPro Hero 12 action camera. I purchased a GoPro before I even made a channel, and I've been using them ever since. So I've been pretty religious with using these cameras. And since the Osmo came out and I had a chance to make some videos on it, I've been super impressed with this camera. So the Osmo Action 4 comes in at $299, whereas the GoPro Hero 9 comes in at $399. So the Osmo Action 4 costs $100 cheaper than the Hero 12, but I believe that this thing will put up a good fight against it. Let's go ahead and find out. So the 4 areas that I'll be testing these two cameras in is the rock solid performance. Rock solid to me is basically how durable and reliable these cameras are. Secondly, I'll be reviewing the tailored experience with these cameras, which basically means to me how simple it is to just grab this camera and get up and go start recording. Thirdly, which is very important, is the superior image quality between the two of these. The GoPro does have some really impressive specs, but I do believe that the Osmo 4 will give it a run for its money. And the fourth, and one of the most important tests for myself, would be the premium audio between the two of these cameras, basically seeing which one's gonna reign supreme with the natural audio that they produce. So for the Osmo, I'll be running 4K 60 frames per second at ultra wide view with rock steady stabilization. The GoPro, I'll be running 4K 60 frames per second and hyper smooth stabilization. So the first of the 4 steps would be the rock solid test, basically the reliability and the durability of these two cameras. So the Osmo is able to record from -20 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius. So when you buy the adventure kit with the Osmo, it's gonna come with this 3 battery bank. These batteries are 1770 milliamps. The GoPro's batteries come with a 1720 milliamp battery. So not only does the Osmo have a bigger battery, but when you're filming in 4K 60 frames per second, you have the ability to film up to 90 minutes before the battery dies. Whereas with the GoPro, when you film at 4K 60 frames per second, numerous times, myself personally, I've experienced the camera overheating. So although I am a motorcycle rider, it is nice to know if I drop my camera in the toilet or something like that, it's waterproof up to 18 meters. Whereas with the GoPro, it is waterproof up to 10 meters. So you get about 8 meters more of waterproofness out of the Osmo. Waterproofness, is that a word? So next up on my test was the tailored experience. So with the tailored experience test, the Osmo has created a lot of different features that make it really hard for you to miss out on shots that you might have missed out in previous cameras you've used. So the 60-second pre-record feature, for example, basically means that you're recording 60 seconds before you actually press record. And that's great for myself if I'm at gas stations or something like that and some crazy scene happens and I was just getting gas and not actually recording. I start recording and boom, I had that shot that I wouldn't have had in the past. These smaller cameras are great for starting up and recording on the fly. The Osmo Action 4 has a 0.3 second instant record feature, whereas the GoPro takes about 3 seconds to start up and record. So you're gonna have a front touchscreen on the Osmo, as well as a rear touchscreen. The GoPro only has one touchscreen on the rear. The front is just a display screen. The Osmo weighs less than the Hero 12. Even just by a little bit, it makes a huge difference since all the camera equipment that I'm using is strapped to my helmet. So all that stuff is just bouncing around on my head. Snap right in versus the GoPro where you have to screw your mounts in. So not only did I pay $100 more for this GoPro camera, I also need about $80 for a mic adapter and microphone to start running wired audio. Whereas the Osmo, you can automatically start running a wired mic directly out of the box. So we covered rock solid and tailored experience, but what really matters to me is the image quality and the audio. So the GoPro Hero 9 has a 1 and 1.9 inch sensor, whereas the Osmo has a 1 and 1.3 inch sensor. But what really makes the Osmo shine is the low light image enhancement modes versus the GoPro, where it kind of struggles, in my opinion, with the low light shots. So it's usually best to film in 30 frames per second, but I even tried 60 frames per second with both these cameras at night just to see how well the low light image would come out on these things. But yeah, just comparing the videos between the two at night, you can tell the Osmo's got it on lock. The Osmo also has true to life color, whereas the GoPro does not. So this camera has better sharpness and saturation in some shots than the GoPro, but what really helps out is the 10-bit D-Log-M mode that you can film in as well. That's a whole nother video to talk about that, but the color options that you have on there is insane. So the widest field of view at 155 versus the GoPro at 151, and as a motovlogger, that's super crucial, and that just gives the viewers a better experience for the motovlog videos and really puts them on the bike as if they're riding themselves. But overall, I think both of these cameras shoot phenomenal footage in their own aspects with the image quality, but I think it really just comes down to personal preference, looking at the videos and deciding which one that you prefer more. Me personally, I like the saturation and sharpness, and the DJI tends to have that more in most shots versus the GoPro. And the last step in our 4 tests would be the premium audio. DJI's got a pretty good head start with that. They have 3 mics built into this camera, whereas with GoPro, I assume just 1. And with action cameras, generally your first thought isn't to want to hook up an exterior mic, but they are pretty needy of one since the audio is kind of bubbly or just washed up sounding. I tried the Osmo and the selfie stick with just the microphones built into the camera itself, and it did phenomenal. It gives you like really crispy exhaust tones when you're riding. The GoPro's audio isn't terrible at all, but it is very easy to tell, hey, this guy filmed it on the GoPro's audio. Whereas the DJI, it picks up some tones such as the exhaust notes and just gives you a little bit more three-dimensional sound to it, and it doesn't really sound like it's coming from an action camera.
Design and whatnot. Oh, my handbrake is super tight.
What also helps with the Osmo when you're riding and at speed with this camera is AI wind reduction. It definitely helps out with some of the rides like the Surrounds and stuff where I'm not going full speed on a sport bike, but I still want to hear myself. You have the option to run a Bluetooth mic right out of the box just by updating the firmware. If I wanted to film this from over here and I had the mic right there, I could just simply do like an interview style shot and it would just be one little compact package doing it all. The GoPro on the other hand does not have the option to run the Bluetooth mic, but you do need to get this media mod case, which is about 60 or 70 bucks, and that allows you to run a wired mic into here, charge and stuff like that. But it's just extra accessories that are mandatory if you want to start motovlogging. Just from personal experience with these, I've went through several media mod cases. They also had like a plug-in adapter for the audio, which kind of flops around on your helmet. So this is way more tedious, and you don't really know when the case is bad until when you get back home and the audio is junk or it just didn't film any audio at all. So it kind of destroys that video. So I've spent a ton of money with the audio side of things after buying the GoPro itself. So it's nice to know that the DJI out the box has the plug-in mic option as well as a Bluetooth mic option. All right guys, so that's gonna wrap up my battle between the DJI Osmo Action 4 and the GoPro Hero 12. I wanted to get this video out to you guys and make it as simple as possible. That way you guys can digest it and make the opinion for yourselves, which camera you think's best for you guys. Myself personally, I'm a simple guy. You guys know I don't like super high-tech stuff, but I do like stuff that works well and it gives you a good quality image, and both of these cameras tend to do that pretty well. But if you want to talk about simpler, the DJI is going to beat the GoPro hands down. You can just grab this camera and start filming and doing everything else a lot quicker than the GoPro, which takes a little bit more setup. But I wouldn't stop using my GoPro over the Osmo if it had a bunch of more features that the Osmo didn't have, which isn't the case, because the Osmo can definitely do all of the activities that I personally do with my videos that the GoPro can, but you also have the perk of reliability, not having to worry about this thing overheat, since it never overheated while I was testing it throughout this whole thing. It's just one of those sayings, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Osmo didn't break, so why would I fix it and switch over to the GoPro, which has given me issues in the past numerous times. So basically the GoPro is the Rocky ex-girlfriend that I keep running back to, and we just keep running into more problems. Whereas the Osmo is a nice lady that I met at the grocery store that's done nothing wrong to me, and she's just been treating me right. And I'm gonna keep pursuing her, I think. So in conclusion, people, if I was to switch over to the Osmo and use this camera full time for majority of my filming from here on out, what would you guys think? Do you think this thing can compete against the GoPro? Or do you think I should just stay with the GoPro? It's a big leap, but I do want to transition over time from the Heroes over to the Osmo as far as my full-time action camera that I'll be recording with. And it all simply comes down to not letting me down. The Osmo has not let me down as far as filming this entire series, testing it out, whereas the GoPro, I've had a rocky past filming with this girl, and I would not be opposed to switching out to something more reliable. So let me know what you guys think of these two cameras and which one personally worked best for your guys' setup. So huge shout out to DJI for sending over this camera once again for me to review. And if you guys are interested in your own, check out their website. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and like always, keep it dank. Later.